When an animal in distress, such as a dog, they bark. When a baby needs something, they cry. But when an inmate is saying something, they become muzzled. So I'm the voice for the incarcerated. Speak on it.
I know, yeah, you know, we fight, sacrifice our time, yeah, our lives is on us, on us. I know, yeah, you know, we fight, sacrifice our time, yeah, our lives is on us, on us.
All right, once again, welcome to On Us Podcast, the voice for the incarcerated. I'm your host, BGI Lee, and my co-host is the Black Sheep. Today's show is dedicated to Mr. Trigg, so we're gonna call this Trigg Part 2 because he's gonna reveal, what happened when he went to board. But before we go into the depths of that, we're gonna allow my boy Jay Burton to bless the platform and give us an understanding of what is expected from them when they go to board and what they expect when they go to board. So, to boost things up and get things going, don't forget, subscribe, and subscribe. This is the only way that, we're going to get the numbers up and, and make noise for our people, for our people. But with no further delay, we're going to get the show cracking. All right, man, welcome to On Us, man. I want to first, let you know I appreciate you blessing the platform. So, this topic is dealing with, inmates going to board. How do you feel about the old board and the new board? Is it working, or is it still a gimmick?
Well, first and foremost, let me thank you, BG Ali, for allowing me to grace your platform. It's a blessing, big bro. Salutes to you.
Thank you.
For you to get out and start doing positive things. Hopefully more brothers can see this type of thing so they can start building platforms and start letting people see that despite a person being incarcerated, a lot of us do take this time to build ourselves and better ourselves, and you're a great example for us. So thank you for that, bro.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, explain who you are, man, and what's going on.
All right, first and foremost, my name is, I use the word #FreeJ Burton. That's the movement right there. That's the cause. That's what I represent. I'm from Watts, California. I've been incarcerated for like 34 years. Next month, it'll be 34 years on the dot since I was 16 years old. I was convicted for a gang murder that, some other people did, but I just happened to be riding it because I'm caught up in a police sting or it's a police scandal called the Linwood Sheriff's Vikings. The Linwood Sheriff's Vikings.
Wow.
And if anybody know about that, you can YouTube the Sheriff Vikings. You can also see a documentary that's called Innocent Files by a guy named Frankie Carrillo. He was exonerated after doing 20-something years, and what's crazy is that me and this guy Frankie Carrillo, we're under the same act, the same police, the same attorneys, the same county court, everything. So yes, I'm just one of the ones that's caught up in this scandal, but I'm trying to get from under it. And before we go into my situation, you had mentioned something about the parole board. Back in 2013-14, they came with a thing called the youth offender parole hearings.
Yeah.
Now, go back into my case. I was 16 back in 1989. I'll be 51 this year. So I qualified for the youth offender program. The parole hearings. And under these parole hearings, it's basically set up for if you was a youth offender. Youth offender is now what they say 25 on down.
Yeah.
And you caught your case. You say, for instance, you got a 15 to life. You should be in front of a parole board within 15 years. If you got 25 years to life, 25 years. So on my 25th year, I was qualified to be eligible for parole. But I didn't go up for parole until my 27th year. And you would think that this was set up for juveniles.
Yeah.
So when I went up in there, it was no different from a juvenile from an adult parole hearing, because they denied me for 7 more years. This was on my 25th year, so they denied me for 7 more years, which I'd be in my 34th year, which is now.
So what was denied for the 7 more years? What was they excuse?
Well, their excuse was this. They said, Mr. Burton, you came in here sounding more like a lawyer than an inmate.
So because you became educated and know how to speak for yourself, and that was their excuse?
That was one of the excuses. And I mean, it was crazy, because I was like, I didn't get what he meant by that. And I got a lot of people that's been advocating for me. So I'm explaining all these things to them, and they asked me, okay, well, if you were to be paroled, what kind of work would you do? I say, well, one of the things I would do, I'd be an advocate. I'd be an advocate for social justice. I'll also be the face for the youth offenders, so people can see a face to a juvenile and how a system can incarcerate us for decades. So I would like to do things like that to kind of correct the system. But I was trying to do it in a way to be respectful to their platform as well, right? And I also explained to them this program that I was a part of called Defy Ventures. And in Defy Ventures, this is when all these millionaires, they come to the prison and they show us how to become entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So when I presented one of my ideations of what I would like to do once I get out, it was called Second Chance Legal Advocates. It was for people who are jailhouse lawyers in prison. They can get out on the street and become not lawyers, because technically if you got a record, you can't be a lawyer, but you can work as like a paralegal, but have a lawyer. You can work for lawyers, but we had it to where most lawyers don't really know about prison condition cases, and most lawyers don't really know about post-conviction.
Exactly.
All they do is really, they good in arguing in court, but most times they clerks and they're paralegals that's doing all the work. So I was like, who would be better to do this than people that's been in prison, that know the laws, that keep up with everything that deals with prison stuff?
Man, I call it, excuse me not to interrupt, I call it the knowledge coming before the experience, and sometimes experience coming before the knowledge. And in this case, you have both. But excuse the interruption, carry on.
Oh, and so the thing is, I even showed them how I've won multiple lawsuits, how I've won tens of thousands of dollars, not just for myself, but for other prisoners who are settled. And so they was so amazed at what I did that we had a Shark Tank event, literally a Shark Tank, all these multimillionaires and 60 prisoners. And we all going at it about who has the best business. At the end of the day, I came in first place out of like 60 plus prisoners. So they gave me like $600 seed money. But being that I'm a lifer, I would have to wait till I get out to get the seed money. But the program is actually ongoing. And ironically, they just wrote me a letter the other night saying that the program is still going. But those who get out on the street, they can continue to be a part of what is called the Defy Ventures. And so I broke this stuff down to the parole board. And the guy said, you know what? We expect you, like all other inmates, to come here and say that I was but you went with all this other stuff. So I said, okay, I see.
Wow.
I don't have nothing coming. I said, I just don't have nothing coming with these people.
Wow.
And the whole thing is that somebody told me a while back, it was either some prison staff or somebody told me, look, when you go on them parole hearings, you got to tell them people what they want to hear. I said, why not tell them the truth?
Wow.
They said they don't want your truth.
They want their truth.
They want their truth.
What they're taught robotically.
Exactly. And the sad thing about that is that it cost me a 7-year parole denial. Despite that, the crazy thing is that I had 3 COs. One was a sergeant to sign what they call laudatory chronos. And these are officers that have been knowing me years throughout the system. And these laudatory chronos was explained to the board, the parole board, the type of person that I am, who they know for years. And they didn't care about none of that. They told me, look, you lucky we didn't give you a 15-year denial.
Wow.
And I'm like,
and so, it's opposed to them getting educated and having an overseer in which the laws, you know what I'm saying, can help y'all make it home. These people just taking it into their own hands, and if you don't come in there and say you're gonna be buckwheat and you're a huckabuck and trying to wash cars and etc., you can't get a day. What else do they expect y'all to have for as the education part, or for as the any particular classes that make you guys suitable?
Well, the key thing is this. I always tell people, stress this point. Education is key, but you have to get a GED. Most of us come into these prison systems. Most of us come from the inner cities. A lot of us don't finish grade school, or high school rather. So when you come up in here, the key thing is to either get your high school diploma or your GED. Because a lot of us, we have all these different things that we did in prison, like these industries and all this stuff. But if you don't have that GED or that high school diploma, that's going to be the catch that gets you every time.
Okay, so did you have yours?
Yeah, I got mine within the first year I was in prison.
So was there no need for no denial, because you not want to get on your knees and scrub a floor when you did actually exactly, what you're supposed to do? What about I hear about classes like for as accountability?
Well, that's a good question. Let's start with Gang Anonymous.
Yes.
Most of us in prison are part of some kind of gang. Where I messed up is that when the psychiatrist doing a psych evaluation, I messed up by telling the psych. She asked me, well, how do I feel about gangs? I said, well, I grew up around gangs my whole life, and I said most gang members are not bad people. And that's the wrong thing to say.
So but that's the truth. When is it going to become a time where you guys can go in there and tell the truth?
That part right there. And that's what I'm saying. Our truth is not their truth. And it's a sad thing, but our truth is not their truth. So I explained that. So she gave me a bad report. This is what her report was like. If you were to parole Burton, he's a high risk, and he would likely be involved with gang activity. But if you see me on these yards, for all these years I've been on these yards, it has not been anything that deals with gang activity per se. My thing is I bring gangs together and we start building. So the thing is, once you divorce that mind state that keep us trapped, especially to that ghetto way of thinking,
yes,
we gonna stay there. But when you got somebody that's showing us a different way, somebody that people have respect for, and you start showing them a different angle, you become a threat. And you wonder, why would you become a threat when you're trying to really help not only the people, but it helps the system as well?
Exactly, because the system not really truly designed to help us, but to continue to hinder us, because it's what I used to always hear people say, job in order for them to retain a job or retain a position, you need somebody to fulfill, themselves, or fulfill that need, to where to be relevant. And so, on us, it's like being the voice of the incarcerated. I'm giving you guys action to speak to the public on what do you think the changes should be, what's needed to be, how do we get people attention without putting a female up when our sisters on stage twerking and jumping upside down, in order for her to get the attention, from the public to assist us into freeing our people.
Hey, that's you absolutely right on that. It's just like I have conversations with some of my peers around here, and basically everything you said is basically by design. The first thing you said, it was about job security. Job security. In order to have job security, we got to make sure that you stay deaf, dumb, and blind. Because if you start waking up, it threatens my job security. So I don't want you to be really educated in that sense. And what I mean by educated, that means to break the mental chains, because a lot of us are still mentally enslaved and trapped. So how do we break that? It starts with education of self. We got to learn about who we are. Once we start learning about who we are and start loving ourselves, we will stop self-destructing. But what the system must understand is that once we stop self-destruction, we're not going to be a threat to your safety, to your job safety and security. Or we're not going to be that.
No.
Because the way it's set up, people going to always still commit crimes. But let's try to see if we can do away with the stuff that hurts people.
Exactly.
Let's try to deal with that first, because we are in a situation that is bad, and we know that most of the people, like the youth, look up to is people that's being caught up in the system. Is whether they in the system or they out the system. But these are the people the youth look up to, and we are the ones that could be the ones that bring change.
Exactly.
So don't mute us. Don't mute us at all.
Exactly.
Because the ones that want to talk and be the light that's in the dark, we can be that. You are being that today. You're doing what you're supposed to do.
Exactly. Well,
Yes.
my thing is, even with that compliment, it's beautiful and respectful, but it's your articulation that's needed, because you got to remember they only look at us as, you know, dummies and illiterate, and as soon as, you know, we learn how to take the time for introspection and read some books and educate ourselves and pronounce our words right, people told me that I sound too smart, or I'm overdoing it, or I need to know who's my audience. And I said, no, I come from gangs. I come from Compton, California. I'm in that environment. My name still has credit. It has credit to it.
Right.
So my ability to be better as a human being and a black man and an ex-thug is something that's most needed. That's why the platform is important, to where they hear the voice, you know what I'm saying, coming from you, not coming from the media. So with that being said, I want to go into the recidivism rate. Overlooking and reading and observing lifers getting out of jail, it's almost 0.1, or the number is so low of being part of the recidivism rate. What's your take on that?
See, the thing is, the media refuses to put that fact out there, because the media don't want people, or those that control the media don't want the truth out there to the public, that the majority of lifers hardly ever go out and commit another crime. Anybody who done over 10 years, usually 10 to 15 years, they're less likely to commit another crime.
Exactly.
The majority of the people that recidivist is those who do short time and who didn't take care of their drug habit, because a lot of times it has to connect with some type of drug.
Exactly.
And what the system has designed, the system has did this. When you get caught up in a crime, they link it to gang activity. Majority of the people that commit crimes is not for their gang.
Exactly.
So what they do, what the courts do, they use this so-called gang enhancement thing to enhance, like, say for instance, you got a 3-year sentence for whatever you may have done, but they have put the gang enhancement on it. Now you got, instead of the 3 years, you got about 15, 20, 30 years.
Exactly.
And the thing is, like what you're saying, those that recidivism is usually those who are short timers. And they most of them have some type of problem what gets them caught up in these situations. What I mean by that is that if I have a drug problem and I come to prison because I did whatever it is, I stole something or whatever it may have did, and I didn't come to prison and correct that problem that I had, that drug problem.
Yes.
I'm going to get out. Before we go there, I wanted to show you some of my accomplishments. This right here, this is a picture of, this is when I graduated. This is that Defy program I was telling you about. I graduated right there, right?
Okay.
Now, right here, this is, I have a Baylor University certificate in business.
Okay.
I have these right here. This is laudatory chronicles. These are laudatory chronicles from officers that said, you know, stuff about me. These right here, all these are a bunch of certificates. These are a whole bunch of certificates. So it ain't like I haven't been doing nothing.
All your accomplishments is the biggest threat?
Yeah.
Not your ignorant or your past ignorance. All your accomplishments seem to be the biggest threat.
Yeah.
How do we? What do we do to change that? That's my thing. Like, what's the ideas on, you know what I'm saying, changing that? Because it's like there's a lot of lifers that done came home, and it's a few that I talked to that like the co-host of this platform. He been down 36 years, and they want him to admit to a crime that he actually didn't do. And being from Compton, like I said, we're held by a code to where we know that these particular people have not done these crimes, but they have to walk the yard, as same with people who's convicted of doing a crime and they held their head high. So having a brother and plenty of family members in that, my thing was, you know, the voice of the incarcerated. So many truths and so many brilliant men that's incarcerated that don't get a chance to get their story told. But at the same time, like I said, it always deal with our own kind. Everybody is thinking like everything is about self, look at me, but it's bigger than that.
Good salutes to my big bro, BG Ali, for even giving me this chance to be on your platform. You know, hashtag free our little bro, man.
Yes, sir.
Jordan Anderson, love you, man. When you get back out, hopefully everything will be straight this time. And thank you for what you got going on. Y'all go cop this book. This is The Life and Times of an LA Blood by Jay Bird. You can find it on Amazon. I got a few other books coming out, but we'll just hold that to the next.
I'm finna order that right now. Say it one more time so people can go get it.
It's called The Life and Times of an LA Blood by Jay Bird. Good book. Real
yes,
good
sir.
Book. I got a couple other books that's going to be coming out. One called The Raw Deals. That'll be out probably next month. Then I got this other project with the brothers called The Chosen Few. It's a lot of things that I got going on, and we're going to continue to build. This is only part one of this. There's going to be other segments, and I'm going to get other people involved in this, because we got to continue to strengthen our communities and give our peers something to look forward to, so they can give it to those that look up to them. So thank you, big bro, again.
Exactly. Thank you, man. Have a blessed one.
All right, great.
I'm the co-host Abdul the Black Sheep with BG Ali, and we want to thank Jay Burton for coming on the show, sharing with us some interesting ideas and the things that he's accomplished in his life. All right, the brother has written many things while incarcerated, and these are the type of things that we should be motivating ourselves to do as individuals coming inside the system. You know, the brother has spent time studying and learning and trying to become a better human being. And in that process, he's trying to give society an idea of what he was and how his transformation and his transition took place. The brother about growing up in the inner city, as a gang member, right? This particular story, I believe that we should all be able to take the idea of having a purpose and what that purpose does for you, how it motivates you, how it brings you to understanding of what resilience is, of not giving up on yourself, let alone others and people in your life, and trying to get back with them. I want to commend the brother. I want to thank the brother again, for sharing these stories with us. Although, and we share a lot of similarities in life, dealing with the criminal justice system. So, I appreciate individuals like Jay Burton, because his story mirrors mine, and it reflects that, I'm not the only one. And as Ona says, we're always here to show that there's other individuals like us, that are out there struggling and striving to tell their stories and to trying to find the means to be able to get their stories out there. So I thank you, brother, for gracing the platform, sharing your story and those particular things. So, from the bottom of my heart, and I personally say, and I hope I speak for BZ Ali when I say this, again, thank you. Before we begin and go into my favorite, one of my favorite, guests that's shown on the show, Big Trig. Before we get to him, although we want to talk about the brother George, and the board of prison term. Does the board work? Does it? What is it? What signs can we look to say this works? Is individuals actually getting out?
What's going on with you, man? Welcome to On Us, man. What's your story, man? What's your name? You know what I'm saying? How long you been down? What's going on?
My name is George Ramirez. I've been down since 2001. I was 18 when I got arrested for multiple robberies and carjackings. My change in here didn't really happen until about 15 years in, man. I came in and I just continued to do the same thing that I was doing on the streets. I wasn't trying to change nothing. Coming in as an 18-year-old kid, I didn't see an end to this. You know, I didn't have life, but in the county jail, somebody told me, well, when you go in there, live like you do have life, you know, don't, and that just, it stuck with me, because I had that criminal gang mentality back then, and I just ran with it.
Yeah.
But February 10th of this year, I got found suitable at board, man, and it took me, this is my third time going to board, and it was amazing, man. It's just all the work I put in these past 7 years, and just being able to see the change in myself, and other people see it as well, and people come and asking me for help and things like that. I never thought that I would be able to be that person, you know. I always see myself always just scheming and scamming on people, you know. My help was to help myself, you know. I wasn't about helping the next man or anything like that. It was about me coming up, you know. I was very selfish.
Yeah, so if you could start at the beginning of the most ugliest picture of yourself, and where you know, what took you to grow, what circumstances that changed, what did you read, what did you study, what God you serve. I mean, you know, take us to the ugly you, and then give us the process of your transition.
Oh yeah, the most ugliest person of me is just, I didn't care. I had no care for human life. I didn't care about myself. I was carrying weapons on the streets and in here. I was a very violent individual. I did whatever needed to be done cause I'm a little guy, man. So I try to go above and beyond to prove that, you know, I had to be tough, you know, like don't mess with me. I used people. I preyed on people. In here, I sold drugs. So I would find somebody who used drugs, and I would befriend them in order just to sell them drugs. You know, in 2015, I got caught introducing drugs to prison. I caught an extra 4 years for that. And it really didn't start until there was a law 261 that passed that started considering me as a juvenile, because I was 18 when I got incarcerated. So I started trying to fake it to make it. You know what I mean? I enrolled in these groups, and I would go to NA just to sell drugs on Monday night. You know, I wasn't really going to learn. I was more going just to get these chrono chasers. You know, that's what people, they got a name for them in here. And it wasn't until about 2017-18 where I took this class called Bridges to Freedom, and it was developed by James Tobacco. He was an inmate, and he never really had help when he was trying to go to board, so he started his own group in here. And through that group, I was able to start learning insight about myself, about my character defects, and how I developed them as a kid. And my parents got divorced when I was 12 years old, and my dad, he kept coming around, but eventually he just disappeared, man. And my mom was out doing her thing, going to work, going out, trying to meet some people, and I'm the youngest of 5 kids, and everybody was out of the house. So I just felt like nobody cared no more. Everybody just turned their back on me. They weren't really worried about me. So I dropped out of junior high. I just started to do whatever it was that I wanted to do. Just through that, I just became this callous individual, man. I cut off all my empathy. The only empathy I had was for my friends. I had no other empathy for other people, you know. But it was through Bridges to Freedom and a healing dialogue with Javier Starring right here next door in Ironwood that I was able to talk about the murder of my cousin. He got killed in 2003 in Lancaster. And just being able to come to a point where I needed to understand that I had to forgive the individual that committed the murder against my cousin, you know, or else I wouldn't be able to move on. Because in here, I thought about it every year. It would eat at me, you know. So how am I going to try to ask my victims to forgive me when I can't come to terms and try to forgive this person who committed this act against my cousin, you know? And so, yeah, next door in Ironwood, when I was able to do that during that group, that kind of just like watershed moments, man. Like something just happened to me, you know? And I was just able to, just to continue to move forward. And then ARC got introduced over there, and I started doing ARC and CGA through them. Dave Amaya, he was my coworker in Calipat. Now he's one of the one of the main hope and redemption teams. So just be able to be in constant contact with him through the mail and taking these groups at ARC. And then my friend Jose, he paroled, but during one of the groups, they were asking if anybody had anything to say. And I'd always stay in the back, and he's like, you got something to say, man, why don't you say it? And that like sparked me, man. It just lit something in me where I was just talking, not really knowing what I was saying at first, but just getting over the nerves of telling my story and letting people in, you know. And yeah, man, after that you couldn't shut me up, man. It's just now, yeah, I try to help out, try to facilitate when I can't through COVID. I actually facilitated CGA through ARC next door in Ironwood, man. Just social distancing in the day room and all that. It was good.
Okay, so it seemed like you have grown and you're on fire, you know what I'm saying, about your growth. So how was it, you know, you have some people go to board and get disappointed. How was it to go to board and get, you know what I'm saying, and get a date? How what's the feeling of that? Walk the viewers through that.
It's just, man, it's that moment. It just felt like all the hard work, all the writing that I did, the just everything, man. Like it's shown through, you know. Like, cause I got denied twice before. I went 3 times in 3 years. So the first time I got denied, I was still in denial, rationalizing it, minimizing it, you know. Just I got denied because they're gonna deny me anyways. The second time I went, I did the work. Half of it, I didn't do the internalization of the substance abuse, and they seen right through it, man. They denied me. That second one hurt me though. Like a week later, it broke me down. Like, what is it that you want from me? You know, what am I not seeing? And I did the work. I enrolled in the substance abuse programs that they have here. And it just, the third time I went, I don't know. It just, questions were being answered. There was really no stuttering. Like when you live it, you don't search for the answer to say. It just flows. You know, it's not.
Exactly.
I'm not trying to search for it. I'm just telling you what I do on a daily basis, you know. So when they found me suitable, it was like a 1,000-pound brick just got lifted off of me, you know. Like, I'm living my remorse, you know. Like, I started to look at board not as a way or a day for me to get free, but just a way for me to tell my story and share the insight into who I am and to continue to give back, to live my amends, you know. Because that day really, it's not for me, it's for them, you know. That's, once I understood that, it just, there was no pressure, man. There really was no pressure no more that I put on myself at board. It was just, let's have this discussion and let me show you the insight that I've gained and how I live my remorse today, you know?
Welcome back to On Us, man. You know, explain who you are and why is this part 2?
Okay, well, first of all, then thank you for us for having me back again, and I'm back. I took a little punch, but I'm back. I got me a 3-year denial at my hearing. I'm looking forward to getting past this. But the main thing about this process was not stressful, but what it was a new feel of what the Board of Prison Terms is now. Today, a Board of Prison Terms is not what it consisted of back in the past, how it was. So therefore I could speak on it because I sat there in that chair for approximately 2 hours, and I had the opportunity to express myself, address the issues that I lacked, and not only it lacked, but also the issues and those victims that I created in the past, and was asked the questions and was able to understand those things. So here I am today. Yes, I wasn't fully prepared, but one thing I did get the opportunity to say is reach out to the community, not only my community, but also my peers, and those past crimes that I committed, that I have to say that I can take responsibility and accountability for. So today, here I am, a changed person here. Back, it took me a couple of weeks, but I'm back, and I say that thank you for giving me the opportunity.
So when you say new and old, give us a version of the old board opposed to the new board. Take us there for people who don't understand board.
Okay, well, those of us that are lifers, we understand, our disciplinary history is the main factor in us, especially inside these walls. Maybe we have done things in society that we've addressed, but they're coming inside these walls with a life term is not something easy. Coming inside these walls, we still look at things that have our resentments, our angers, our frustrations. So therefore, coming to prison with a life term, 1 life term, 2 life terms, etc., many years and life term, that automatically makes us not care about anything. Not only not care about anything, but at the same time, it gives us those reactions that we have no exit out. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. So therefore, looking at there's no light at the end of the tunnel, we look at the thing that we have nothing to really care about. Not only care about, but at the same time, just a survival mode for us as prisoners. Well, today, the border parole terms at one time wasn't letting nobody go free. Well, today I can speak on it today that we have that opportunity. The laws have changed. Now the laws have changed. Also, the way the proceedings are taking place there have gone way different and compared. I was shocked because I have never been to a hearing just like of this type, which is nothing compared to sitting there for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, and today, finally got the answer that they were looking for. Today, it was a lot easier. You being able to address your coping skills, your internal triggers, your external triggers.
Yeah, so before the phone hung up, we was just explaining the fact that, they're still holding you guys for your past, and, even have a level of understanding. I don't want you to say anything that might incriminate your next chance of, of freedom. But sometimes people, that's a part of this political structure understand that, they're judging you guys from way back when. So how much of it hurt it and how much of it help you understand that, this was your choices, these are things, and it is what it is. How, I don't want to, I'm going to keep it simple. Did it affect you any kind of way knowing that they went too far in your past to judge your place of being now?
Me, from my point of view, is that is their job to do, and the good thing is that the way that I feel is that they've addressed it once and for all now, so I have a clean slate. So regardless of what they used and what they didn't use and how they addressed it, I was willing to speak on it, and that's the most important thing in a lifer, is that you're willing to speak on it, you're willing to address it, and you're willing to connect the dots and make the direct approach on it instead of trying to run from it. I myself, like I said, I have numerous rule violations in my past, and even today, like I said, if society was to ask me, so what did you do? Well, that would be just like you tell me, well, I see that you were charged with this in the past. I see that you were charged. Well, in all reality, that's not just a charge. Those are victims that I created. So therefore, I have to take responsibility and accountability for those things. Because yes, those are things that I also need to address and put closer to, the same way that, that there's in society, they need to, put closer to whenever they're ready to put closer to it. Just the same way that I can't force them to put closer to anything. But I have, like I said, me myself, I can say that the fact that they use it and the fact that they addressed it, I spoke on it, I clarify it. So that's something that from my point of view, that I could say that I feel at rest with it. I could sleep on it, and now I could put it behind me. So therefore, now coming forward to my next upcoming hearing, I can say that that's something that that they cannot bring up unless I decide to violate the rules, break the rules, or not do the work that they asked me to do to bring back to them.
Okay, so I like that, man, and I love the fact that you remain positive and in a state of rejection. So my thing is this, and 3 years of more study and 3 years of introspection and understanding yourself. Where do you see yourself at in 3 years, mentally and emotionally?
In 3 years, I see myself getting that opportunity to once again readdress the situation of my past, my crime, not only that, but also the deep insight that I myself, have come to understand for my crimes. Not only that, but also once again, the forgiveness, the forgiveness that comes with that remorse. I no longer feel that guilt or shame that I felt in the past. Now that I understand those things, the empathy, the impact. So by understanding those things today is now that I'm a human being now. I'm a person. I'm a responsible person. I have changed my way of thinking. But most of all, I could say that I'm accountable for my actions. Not only my actions, but also all the things that I've done in my life.
Okay, if you had like 3 people that you had the opportunity to say a few words to, who would them people be and what would the words be?
3 people that I could think of. One was say the very first person that that tried to guide me right and set me on the course from this, instead of this self-destruction that I created for myself, that tried to guide me and send me on the course of positivity. Thank you, even though that I failed not only myself but failed you. Also, those that took time from that foster care system that I was in to also try to guide me, which I failed them. And the numerous opportunities to those in the justice system that also try to assist me by placing me in program after program, home after home. I also failed them, so therefore, being accountable and responsible as a human being and for my actions, I deeply say that I apologize, not only apologize, but also say that today I understand exactly what you were trying to do, instead of me, having those resentments, those anger issues. And I thank you for wanting to take that time and give me, even though that I did not apply to it by understanding it. But today I understand that you were doing your job and doing what you need to do to keep me out of what I find myself in today.